Hey, my name is Rowan Smith and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare and conquer your upcoming hike, trek or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for. Let's get into today's episode. All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today I have a PSA, public service announcement for all my hikers, and particularly for all my hikers who may be, relatively new on the strength training side of things, or for those who may deal a little bit of knee discomfort. Are you ready? Lunges are not a beginner's exercise. I'll say it again. Lunges are not a beginner's exercise. And if they make you uncomfortable, if they make your knees sore, if you can't do them, that is absolutely fine, because they're not a beginner's exercise. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this today is because this is something that comes up every single week in conversations I have with hikers. And the general story kind of goes like this. Now, a hiker decides they want to get fit for the trail and get strong for the trail. So they either go online or they go to a local personal trainer or even a local physio. And they say, look, I want to get fit for the trail. Or they type into Google, I want to get fit for hiking. And the information they get is like, what you should be doing is X, Y, and Z. When it comes to strength training, you should be doing squats and lunges. And they'll go out, do the squats fine. They'll give the lunges a go, and all of a sudden, they're struggling. They get pain in the knees. Maybe they can't do it. Maybe they're wobbling all over the shop. Hey, maybe they'll be able to do lunges for a few weeks, and then they start to get uncomfortable, or whatever it may be. It happens, and I hear this story every single week, and it's crazy because I have absolutely no idea how lunges ended up in the category of a beginner's exercise. Now, to be clear, I love lunges. I love split squats. I love that movement. I think it is absolutely fantastic for hikers for so many reasons, but in no way, shape or form would I ever say this is a beginner exercise. Would I ever say this is a good exercise for someone starting off who already has knee pain? I would never say this is a good exercise for someone who's just starting their strength training, because it is a pretty aggressive exercise. It can be fantastic, but when you're first doing it, if you have knee pain already, it can put a reasonable amount of pressure through the knees. And if you're not strong enough, it can lead to some discomfort. Very, very normal. If you're sort of restricted and tight in certain areas, or maybe you're just figuring out the movement, it can lead to a bit of discomfort. And if you're carrying, maybe not super strong, or maybe you're carrying a few extra kilos around the middle, it is going to be a difficult exercise because you're going to have to be shifting quite a bit of force. And for a lot of people, this is just a bit too much initially. So, in all honesty, if you've gone down this route before and you've been recommended lunges, or you've thought you should be doing lunges, but you can't do them or they're uncomfortable, please just know they're not necessary. If you break down the lunge, what are we actually trying to improve? Basically, the lunging movement is a single-legged pushing movement. Basically, the muscles we're trying to develop there are predominantly the quadriceps, maybe a little bit of glutes. And some other muscles do a bit of work to help stabilize you. The hamstrings do a bit to stabilize you. The ankles do a bit to stabilize you. The core does a bit to stabilize you. But it's not like you're saying, I'm doing a lunge to strengthen up those areas. It's not that. That's not how it works. Basically doing a lunge to strengthen up the quadriceps and a little bit of the glutes. Now, if you cannot do a lunge comfortably, or it's a difficult movement for you, or you just plain hate them, there are so many other options which you can strengthen up these areas, which will be much, much, much more comfortable for you. Now, if you first place to kind of think about is, okay, if a lunge hurts, a few different things we can do. Now, the level below a lunge, in regards to a lunging movement, stepping forward, stepping back, going into that lunge, if that is a little bit too much for you, the first thing that's just slightly below is going into what's called a split squat. So it's pretty much the same movement, but instead of stepping forward or stepping back, you just start with 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and you literally just go down and up. Same movement, but instead of that stepping with that extra force, you're literally just going down and up. For some people, that's enough to get that feeling much more comfortable, and that's a big win. And if that's you, then you can just go with that. But saying that, even that, it's still same movement. It still probably will be difficult for a lot of people. So if that's you, then the next steps, you can look at just simply different exercises which will do this same strengthening. So ones that I typically like to use for my hikers, starting with step downs, eccentric pistol squats. Step ups will probably do the same thing anyway. You could do a single leg press. Any of those 4 exercises, step downs, eccentric pistol squats, step ups, and single leg leg press. All of those are going to be working the quadriceps, the glutes, with one leg at a time. Pretty much the same thing as a lunge. Obviously, there's slight differences, but pretty much the same as a lunge. And I guarantee you, for at least the step down, the step up, and potentially the single leg press, if you have access to that, they're all going to feel much, 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 much more comfortable than that lunge. So if that's you, that's first place to look. Now, if you give those exercises a go, and you're like, you know what, actually, that's still a bit too much for me. Doing one leg at a time, I'm still wobbling all over the place. Maybe this leads to this discomfort, pain, or whatever it may be. Then you can adjust things. The next level down is simply doing things on 2 legs at a time. So you can do a squat. You might just start as a bodyweight squat. That's still going to work the same muscles. With that 2 legs on the floor, it's going to be easier to stabilize. It's going to be much more comfortable. You could do a 2-legged squat with a bodyweight, with a dumbbell, with a pack, whatever it may be. You could do a 2-legged leg press, if you have access to one of those. You could even do a wall sit if even those are all uncomfortable. When it comes to training, we kind of want to think about the end result. What are we actually trying to achieve? Now, obviously, the end result is we're trying to get strong for situations on the trail. But if we take that step back, if we're sort of saying, okay, I want to do a lunge, what are we actually trying to achieve? We're trying to strengthen up the quadriceps and the glutes. If I cannot do that in one way, in this example, a lunge, if that's uncomfortable, if that's too much for me, what are the other ways I can go about this? And I'll tell you right now, in the world of training, in the world of strength, for every single outcome you're trying to achieve, there are probably 24, if not more, options to get that same outcome. So you basically just want to explore these areas until you find something that's going to work for you. Because there's no point pushing through an exercise that causes you pain, causes you discomfort, makes you feel weak or whatever it may be. It's just not necessary. Find something that's going to work for you. Find something that's going to be more appropriate for you, and that'll go a long, long, long way. And as much as I've been talking about lunges today, there's so many other things that fit the bill and fit into this category. It might be deadlifts, it might be push-ups, it might be shoulder press, it might be planks or whatever. If certain exercises are painful for you or uncomfortable for you, or you just absolutely hate, just know there's always another option. You just need to find out what it is. So talk to a professional, message me, get a personal trainer, whatever it may be. There's always another way. So I think that's enough from me today. Long story short, lunges, they are not a beginner's exercise. If you can do them, if you enjoy them, absolutely fine, perfect, go for it. They're a great exercise. But if you don't enjoy them, if they're not comfortable, if they're too much for you, just know that's not a bad thing. Start with something a bit lower because they're not a beginner's exercise. So if you were wanting a little bit of help with your training, if you're like, you know what, Ron, I like what you're saying here. I want to get strong for the trail. I've tried other things. I've tried these general approaches that haven't worked for me. I want something that's personalized for me, that's going to meet me where I am, going to give me the things that are going to help me for the trail and work around my limitations and my preferences. If you are liking all of that and that sounds good to you, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about my online personal training for hikers, where I help hikers get fit, strong, and resilient so they can conquer every adventure, you can check out the online summit program at summitstrength.com.au/online. Now, from there, you can have a read through some of my program, what it's all about, what's included, and how I go about helping my hikers. And if you are interested, there's an application form down below, and you can check that out and we can have a chat. So if you were interested in getting a bit of help with your training, go to that page. I'll leave a link in the show notes below and we can take it from there. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got a bit out of it, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.